So it was a day over 10 years ago. Okay, I'm gonna set the scene for you. I'm with my three little ones under the age of 4.5. I'm waiting for my husband to come home from work. And I get a phone call from him saying I'm on my way. That was pretty typical. You would just let me know, I'm about to drive home. And then I realized that the phone was still on, but I don't know if he knew the phone was still on. So I called his name, but he didn't hear me. But I could tell, you know how you can tell the phone is still on. And next thing I know, I hear the drive-through voice, the drive-through, like when you go through and like, wah, 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 what would you like? And I hear my husband ordering a cheeseburger and fries. And I think, oh, that's weird. We're gonna have dinner. I don't know why he's going through the drive-through. And maybe he's gonna pick up the phone afterwards and tell me, but he never picks up the phone. And I soon realized he didn't know that I was still listening, right? So this may seem like a really benign thing, but it was pivotal for me when I looked back at that day. Because when I started doing research into how we make change and how we sustain healthy change, I realized in that moment that what my husband needed was compassion, and mostly from himself. That he had so much shame and guilt around what he was doing, he couldn't even tell me. Because he didn't tell me when he got home, he didn't tell me the next day. I told him, your phone was still on. And I could tell by the look on his face that he was embarrassed. Because he had been struggling with that change of making healthy dietary change. So I offer you this because if there's one nugget around the neuroscience and the brain of how we make change, it's that what we found is that self-compassion is critical. I mean, imagine, it's not willpower, it's not self-esteem, it's self-compassion. So when they actually do studies and they look at studies they've done them on women where they take a group of women and they give them the same amount of food in the beginning to get them to the same fullness level. And then they offer them donuts or candy, and they offer one group an invitation to be compassionate with themselves. That if you have this food and you don't feel good about it, to just understand that you're human, you're trying your best, and you can reset for the next time. And then they offer one group a sort of willpower pep talk, like you can do this, don't do it, don't give in to it. And then they offer a group nothing. And by every time, by every measure, the group who has the little invitation of self-compassion eats less to none of the candy and donuts. And the willpower group eats it. They've done this with people who are not alcoholics, but who drink more than they want to. So they wake up the next day feeling guilty about how much they drank, or they feel bad about it. And the ones who beat themselves up over it drink more the next night. So let me just remind you, if you have an adolescent as a child, or you were an adolescent, I know we've all been there. What's it like when your parents yell at you and tell you, why do you keep doing this? You're so bad, you're so lazy, you're so that, you're so that. We do it more. We don't listen. It's not because we're all defiant and just want to make trouble. It's because when we get beaten up, when we get criticized, when we feel bad about ourselves, we turn to the very comfort thing we need. Because in the midbrain, the same center that's hearing that is making a decision, and it's connected to our centers for survival. So that's usually food, drugs, sex, everything that we try to make change in. So what I'm saying is that if you are doing that thing to yourself, if you make a mistake, if you slip up in a change you're trying to make, and you beat yourself up over it, I know you do because I'm human. I hear those voices. You're only going to set yourself up for doing it more again. Does that make sense? And here's the biggest thing. People get accountability and shame mixed up all the time. I've never seen in a dictionary ever in any definition of accountability, the word shame. So you can keep yourself accountable to your goals without shaming yourself. It doesn't have to be, I'm such a loser, I can never do this. Why does this happen to me? It can also be, I slipped up. I'm only human. Humans slip up. This is not how I want to be. I'm going to reset myself for the next time and see what I can do better for myself. You give yourself compassion and you still hold yourself accountable. Does that make sense? The two can live together. And in fact, when accountability lives with shame, they don't cohabitate very well. So what this nugget today for you is around making change is that if you want to make change, if you want to change your food, the way you exercise, the way you think, the way you move, the way you parent, the way you love, I don't care what it is, you have to have self-compassion. Without that, your brain will start moving just towards the comfort you're trying to get away from. So give yourself that gift today. Give yourself some compassion. The same thing you would do for a friend, the same thing I did for my husband in that moment. Give yourself some compassion. Understand that compassion means we're attentive and mindful to what we're doing. We realize the common humanity in our slipping up, and we become our own best friend in the process. That's what self-compassion means when we're trying to make change. So think about it today. When you're out there trying to work on some goal from New Year's resolutions or what have you, what are you saying to yourself? What are you saying to yourself? Because it's not that you're bad or flawed and can't make change. No. It's that you need to be your own best friend through it. Okay? I hope that nugget helps. I'd love to hear if you have any questions or comments or thoughts, but I hope that that brings some understanding to how we can make it practical in the day when we're trying to make change in our life. Okay? Happy Thankful Thursday, and see you soon.